11 scariest abandoned theme parks in the world. Number 11. Pripyat Amusement Park. Like the Six Flags in New Orleans, Pripyat Amusement Park lies abandoned and serves as nothing more than a memory of a terrible incident. Unlike Six Flags, however, Pripyat Amusement Park remains a genuinely dangerous place. Radiation levels in some areas of the park are among the highest in the whole city. It was to be opened on May 1st, 1986 for the annual May Day celebrations. These plans had to be canceled. When, just days before on April 26th, the horrifying Chernobyl disaster occurred. The event released tons of radiation into the surrounding atmosphere. It also resulted in 30 direct deaths and thousands of serious medical problems. The amusement park, and its Ferris wheel in particular, have become a symbol of the catastrophe. Number 10. Nara Dreamland. Erected in 1961 as an answer to America's Disneyland, Nara Dreamland in Japan was forced to close after low attendance numbers in 2006. No one ever reused the land or came to dismantle the various rides and attractions, so for over a decade it was in a creepy state of suspended animation. Its parallels to Disneyland were obvious, especially this castle that looked an awful lot like the Sleeping Beauty castle. Merry-go-round horses were stuck mid-gallop, and giant, crazed-looking fiberglass witches stared into the empty street below. Finally, at the end of 2016, a demolition team came and destroyed the vacant park. Number 9. Dogpatch, USA. Opened in 1968, Dogpatch USA in northwest Arkansas enjoyed great commercial success through its first decade. Unfortunately, investors tried unsuccessfully to parlay this into a second park called Marble Falls. The venture's failure spelled financial doom for Dogpatch USA, and the park closed in 1993, falling into a neglected, run-down state. A terrifying incident highlights the history of the park since it shut down. In 2005, teenager Pruitt Nance was riding through the park with the owner's permission when he collided with a wire that had been strung between two trees. The incident nearly left the young man decapitated. Nance and his family sued the park's owners. The case would go all the way to the Arkansas Supreme Court, where the judge ruled that the owners had to pay the family hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages. When the park owners didn't pay the judgment, the deed to Dogpatch USA, and consequently ownership of the property, was given to Pruitt Nance. Number 8. Gulliver's Kingdom. With Mount Fuji rising gracefully in its background, Gulliver's Kingdom in Japan's Yamanashi Prefecture is an impressive sight despite being the location of a failed amusement park. Gulliver's Kingdom was modeled after Jonathan Swift's famous 18th century tale and opened in 1997. Unfortunately, they were financially backed by a bank that would collapse, and as a result, the park closed for good in 2001. What remains today is scary and startling. A 147-foot statue of Gulliver being tied to the ground still exists at the center of the park, a creepy delight for those brave and lucky enough to explore the land. The park is surrounded by scary locations. Japan's famous Suicide Forest lies just miles away, and the former headquarters of a religious cult responsible for 13 deaths in Tokyo is also nearby. Number 7. Camelot Theme Park. Found in Lancashire, England, Camelot Theme Park is riddled with the dismembered mannequins of Camelot knights and looks like something out of a horror movie. Unnerving sights, like this headless mannequin permanently waiting in a green ride carriage, abound throughout Camelot. Popular events like the 2012 Olympics and the Queen's Jubilee caused low visitor numbers, and as a result, the park closed its doors. Many of the rides have been dismantled, but as of April 2016, the Nightmare roller coaster, one of Camelot's most famous rides, remained, though it was in a run-down state. Number 6. Gaya Land. Once a popular tourist attraction, Gaya Land in Gimhae, South Korea has been closed for the last 5 years. In that time, nature has claimed the land, with vegetation growing unchecked. Roller coasters, swing rides, and bumper cars lie eerily vacant, as if permanently stuck in a not-too-distant past. The highest-reaching parts of roller coasters are the only sections of the park that look operable, but even at these spots, you can see vines creeping upwards. In its day, the park must have been a really fun, memorable place to visit. It lies amongst rolling hills and the not-too-distant outcroppings of a modern city, a fabulous backdrop. The only thrill-seekers that visit Gaya Land today, however, are vandals. Number 5. Western Village. Built in 1975, Western Village delighted visitors for over 3 decades with an entire Old West ghost town, replicas of Clint Eastwood, and a giant Mount Rushmore. Its remote location in Nikko, Japan, and the increasing success of Disneyland Tokyo forced the park to close down in 2007. In the last decade, the park has taken on a gloomy, foreboding nature. Wild West scenes seem complete with gambling halls, saloons, and coffee shops, but the closest thing to humans on site are decaying mannequins. Number 4. Six Flags New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina created a path of destruction along the Gulf Coast and infamously caused the New Orleans levees to break, resulting in thousands of lives lost and billions of dollars worth of damage. When the storm finally abated, over 80% of the city was flooded, including Six Flags, the popular theme park located off of Interstate 10. Pre-hurricane plans called for a water park to be built within Six Flags, but instead, Katrina had left it too badly damaged to reopen. To this day, the park lies in a creepy, abandoned state, a stark reminder of one of the deadliest natural disasters in America's history. Number 3. Disneyland Back in the Day. Today, you may think of Disneyland more along the lines of the happiest place on earth as opposed to a scary theme park. But try telling that to this poor child kneeling while being surrounded by terrifying versions of Mickey and Minnie Mouse at Disneyland back in the 1930s. This kid looks like his next move is to beg his parents to get him the hell out of there. The madness didn't end there, just check out these insane versions of Cinderella characters that used to wander around the park. No wonder Cinderella wanted out of her life situation. Check out those creepy masks. No thanks. While Disneylands exist to this day, they wisely chose to abandon these creepy costumes a long time ago. Number 2. Chippewa Lake Park. Remarkably, this park, which opened in 1875, stayed active for a century. Originally, Chippewa Lake Park in Ohio was known for its visitors' drunken, loudish behavior, and its retro hand-powered roller coaster that required attendants to drag it back to the top after each trip. Finally, in 1898, a family acquired the property, banned drinking and the sale of alcohol on the premises, and built new mechanical rides. This infusion of money and overall care for the well-being of the park caused it to remain open all the way up to 1978. Newer parks with faster, better rides were opening everywhere, causing Chippewa Lake to shut down permanently. For the next 3 decades, the park would fascinate urban explorers in its decaying state, rusting as nature and the slow march of time changed its appearance, turning it into an unrecognizable, eerie place. Number 1. Spreepark. Built by the communists in Berlin, Spreepark was East Germany's only permanent amusement park, and at its peak, nearly 2 million people visited every year. A slew of terrible accidents, including a crane crashing into a carousel that left 7 dead, led to the park's declining popularity, with only 400,000 visiting in 2001. Finally, in 2002, owner Norbert Witt would abandon the park, which was in financial ruin, leaving its many exciting and often scary attractions to rust. In 2003, Witt would be jailed for 8 years for attempting to smuggle 181 kilos of cocaine in the former flying carpet ride. In its abandoned state, the park was often referred to as one of the scariest around, though recent reports indicate that Spreepark has been completely torn down.